All right. Welcome to the Lean Yak. And before I start the video, I have to issue a warning. Warning, warning, warning. Today is a raw and uncut edition of the Lean Yak because I don't have time to edit this thing and I'm a week late with this video. I wanted to record this last week, but whatever. Things happen. That also means there's going to be swearing potentially today if I don't manage to control myself, because this topic is one that's near and dear to my heart. In fact, it gets me quite riled up in a not good way. This is when like the military training comes out and you start barking orders, or feel the need to cuss someone out and tell them they're being a freaking idiot. Today's topic is cheating on the carnivore diet, or any diet for that matter. And I'm going to approach it a little bit differently because I'm going to just tell the story of how cheating happens and then tell the story of what to do afterwards. So, we're going to follow an imaginary person named Bob. He's got a big smiley face. He's a big dumpy dude, maybe a couple 100 pounds, and he has an eating problem. He wants to address his eating problem. He has an eating problem and a weight problem, and he wants to address both by doing a diet. Let's just say, for example, because I'm a carnivore and fasting coach at meatrx.com, that they choose to do the carnivore diet or to start fasting or both. Bob decides to start the carnivore diet. Great. When should Bob start doing the carnivore diet? Should he wait till tomorrow? Should he wait till next week? Should he wait till the moon, a particular like solar eclipse or lunar eclipse event before he starts? No, he should just start straight away because it's one of the easiest things to do in the world. I.e., at the next meal, when you sit down at the dinner table, you eat a carnivore meal. Why am I starting here? Because I need to start at the start, because the whole idea of cheating is overcomplicated in most people's heads. Diets are simple, keep them simple, and cheating is simple too. So when Bob decides to do the carnivore diet, no, you don't start tomorrow. No, you don't start when the next lunar eclipse happens. You start at the next meal. So what does Bob do? He goes to the dinner table and he finds that his wife made a gorgeous dinner for him of spaghetti and meatballs. He spent all day making it, and hopefully if they have a decent marriage, he has discussed beforehand that he is considering starting the carnivore diet. Now, what should he do? Does he sit down and eat the spaghetti and meatballs? No. No. You walk across the dinner table, you hug your wife, kiss her on the cheek, thank her deeply for being thoughtful enough to make you dinner, and then what you do is you take the meatballs, make a giant pile of them on your plate, and eat those. Because when should you start the carnivore diet? Tomorrow? When the lunar eclipse? No! At the next time you put food in your goddamn face. Oh wow, I swear it. Anyway, whatever. First swear. Okay, so, and from there forward, we need to start applying that logic to cheating. Say you wake up in the morning and for some reason you've forgotten that you're doing the carnivore diet. And you sit down at your breakfast table and you have your cereal because it was served to you, and that's easy, whatever. It was there, you ate it, and you weren't thinking for I'm not going to get into how ridiculous that is, that you don't think about what you're putting in your face. There's bigger issues there, but let's just go with it. Or for example, it's your birthday, so you decide to have, you wake up in the morning and your kids are surrounding you, and they have like a wonderful slice of birthday cake in front of you, and you decide to eat it. In that case, I actually don't have a major issue. Families should come first. But so you've cheated on your day. You woke up, you had some carby foods, non-carnivore foods, non-whatever diet you're doing foods. If you're doing paleo, you had a cake instead of whatever paleo people eat. That's sweet honey, a little pot of honey or whatever the hell they do. All right. So then lunch rolls around. What do? Do you say, well, the day's gone. Let's just fucking do whatever. Let's just eat anything. It doesn't matter. I've already cheated for the day. No, I'll just keep going. I'll just blow today out. Let's have a big party. It's my birthday. No. You remember the fact that you made a decision to do a particular diet. I don't care what that was. And you get back on the wagon. The next time you put food in your face. Sorry, I'm getting riled up. I shouldn't. But again, approach it from a systematic angle. Every time you put food in your face, who's doing it? Are you being strapped to a table? Are you literally being force-fed food? No. You are picking up food and putting it in your face. So I don't care what diet you committed to. The next time you put food in your face, you stick to the diet. One of the only exceptions to this rule is extended fasting, in which case there could be various reasons why you'd want to eat and break a fast. But say you're doing paleo, say you're doing keto, say you're doing carnivore, well, the next time you put food in your face, you're the one making that decision. Now, from there forward, you can extend that thought experiment to every time you put food in your face from that point on. So, if I cheated yesterday, what do I do today? Well, are you the one deciding what you eat? Then you get up for breakfast and you eat goddamn whatever food you've committed to doing. You eat carnivore if you're doing carnivore. You get up in the morning, you don't even sweat what you did yesterday. You screwed up, so be it, it's in the past. The next time you put food in your face should be the meal you committed to doing. So carnivore in this case, or again, fasting might be the one exception. Now, from there forward, I want to talk about what to do when you cheat, aside from making sure the next meal you put in your face is the thing that you've committed to doing. And that is troubleshooting, figuring out why you cheated. This is the step that doesn't require the willpower that the previous steps did. Willpower is one of those things where no one can make you have willpower. Willpower is a muscle that you build with time. And it's also something that's granted to you by some level of driving factor in your life. Say, for example, you just had a heart attack. That tends to give you the willpower to change. But if you don't have like a equivalent of a come to Jesus moment, if you're just running off whatever willpower you've got in you, standard day-to-day willpower, the same willpower that got you fat in the first place, for example, then yeah, it's a muscle you'll have to build with time. You will fall off the wagon. You will cheat sometimes. That's just a thing. Just remember that the next time you put food in your face, it's your decision. You can choose to not eat the spaghetti with the bolognese. Just have the bolognese. You can choose to have a meat pie, if you're given a meat pie, to take the lid off, the top off, and just use a spoon to scoop out the insides. Minimization's better than nothing. That's another important point. And that can be applied to pretty much anything. If you go to a Italian restaurant, for example, you can choose to look to the menu and order like multiple sides, for example, to make up your main. I've done that. I've gone to a breakfast place where they do the standard breakfast is your bread, your baked beans, your eggs, sausage, bacon, and I've said, and then they also have options for sides of extra bacon, extra eggs, and I've sat there and went, well, I don't want the bread and stuff, and if you put it in front of me, I might have a chance of eating it, so I will just order 5 sides, so 3 sides of bacon, 2 sides of eggs, and I've done that. Usually you get a weird look, but hot damn, if a weird look is enough to make you cheat, then you got bigger problems. Again, willpower is something you cannot be granted by anyone else, aside from personal experience and building it up like a muscle. You have to be willing to sit there in your car in the parking lot of a fast food joint and take off the bun your burger and eat it while looking out the window, wondering if anyone's seeing you. You have to be willing to do that, willing to brave some level of being ostracized or slightly different from the people around you. You should be willing to talk to your family members and preload them with, hey, maybe like help me here. I'm trying to do this diet where I'm minimizing carbs, or I'm cutting them out completely, or I'm going pure carnivore. So when I go to your place, don't be offended if I don't have the rice. I'm just gonna, like, do you have a meat dish? Because that's great. I'll just take the meat from that and eat that. Especially if you're Indian, having curries is an excuse to just eat the meat. It's just meat in curry. You can just take the meat out and not have the curry on rice. It's not the most difficult thing in the world. But anyway, I've gone back off topic. I'm going back to what to do when troubleshooting. Okay, figure out why you cheated. Is it because you didn't actually take a second to think about your options at the time? Because if that's the case, you need to learn and teach yourself through experience and trial and error, and just by commitment and willpower to sit there at a menu and read the menu and think about how you could add or subtract things from certain dishes to make it equate to your diet. So for example, carnivore, you can order just a bolognese, for example. Or if you go to a kebab shop, a Lebanese kebab shop, you can order a kebab without the vegetables. And then what you do is they give it to you in a wrap. You take off the wrap when you get to your table and you just eat the kebab meat. Or in some places you can just go, hey, I want a box of kebab meat, and so on and so forth. Think about why you ordered that food in the first place if you are indeed the one who ordered it. If you are a person who can't say no to foods, then you need to identify that about yourself. Again, troubleshooting. Why did I cheat? Oh, when someone offers me food, I always say yes and then eat it like an idiot. I'm an idiot. Wait, no, maybe I just have an actual problem with food. Or maybe I have a problem with assertiveness. Those things, and I'm not saying this to insult you, those things are things you might actually have to see like a proper psychologist or psychotherapist about. Because if your issue is something like a lack of assertiveness, or your issue is something like a inability to turn down foods or have any form of impulse control, that could be something that is actually pretty deeply psychologically rooted and might need to be looked at. Things like that are difficult to break no matter what diet you're trying. If you have a food addiction, for example, if you can't not eat something like rice every day, you have to think about why can you not make yourself not eat that? Is it a physical addiction? Is it like it might be some kind of like psychological addiction to something, or it could be something simple as you have formed a habit. If it's a habit, then that's breakable. But if it's an addiction, it's not necessarily breakable. So you need to think about that. So again, there's the process of cheating, which is you made the decision to break your diet. I don't care what you say it is. You put that food in your face, unless you were force-fed. That's the decision half of it. But the aftermath half of it is perhaps just as important, which is the troubleshooting. And yeah, you need to really think about it. Is it a assertiveness issue? Is it a food addiction issue? Is it a actual like... Is it a case where it's just a habit, or is it a case where it's something deeper that you actually have to have looked at? And you might have to have it looked at. A lot of people are obese because of normal, everyday, not caring about themselves, or not paying attention to what they eat, and then suddenly years later, it's just a slow gradation process, and then they're obese. Other people, though, and I don't know the percentages, but I'm guessing like a good 30-40% actually have some kind of food addiction or emotional eating type problem, in which case a diet's not going to be the only solution you need. Like, it'll help, definitely. It'll help. once, for example, you adapt to a carnivore diet, you will do things like lose any mental driver towards carbs. That is something that happens eventually. But if you can't commit to a diet for long enough to even adapt to a diet because of your food addiction, then that's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter if the benefit of the carnivore is to make you break your interest in carbs. That doesn't matter at all. Because you won't be able to get there in the first place. Like you just never get there if you have like a legitimate food addiction or a unbreakable habit for some reason, or you just don't have the mental fortitude to be able to break a habit. And those are the things that are kind of the mental aspects of it. And here at the end of the video, I just want to touch on the fact that there could be physiological factors that also to contribute to why you cheat. So again, what to do when you cheat? The next time you put food in your G-damn face, you make sure it is whatever diet you committed to. And if you don't, it's on you. Unless it's a physiological problem, which I'm going to get to in a second, or it's a fasting, which is again usually to a physiological problem, which I'll get to in a second. It's on you. If you don't have the mental fortitude to make sure the next time you put food in your mouth it is in your diet, then you need to ask yourself why. Do you actually have potentially this is true. Do you actually have an actual psychological issue that you need addressed? Because a diet won't fix that. It'll help. And once you adapt to the diet, it'll definitely help in the case of a number of diets, for example, keto and carnivore. But you'll never get to that adaptation phase it's very possible you'll never get there unless you get the mental stuff fixed first. And now we'll get to the physiological stuff. So some things are physiological demands that will necessitate you cheating for reasons outside of your control, i.e. you will be driven to cheat by your body. Like you'll suddenly have like a mental blank and you will be driven to cheat. Things like being low on blood sugar. You will get like the insatiable drive to eat carbs. And that's something that may potentially happen. And if that happens, eat the freaking carbs. Like it might be a case of maybe you're over medicating. Maybe your glucose control just needs more time to adapt to whatever diet you're trying. Whatever is the case, if you have that deep cycle, like physiological need, like tiredness and all this kind of stuff that drives you towards eating carbs, then maybe that's just the thing you need to do. And then again, next time you sit down at a meal, get back on the wagon. Another thing is, if you get again, this is kind of linked to that physiological demand. If you've been eating a particular way for years and years, and you transition to something like carnivore, and you get things like lightheadedness and extreme fatigue and weakness, just sudden extreme fatigue and weakness after like one meal, for example, or it wouldn't happen after one meal, but after like 16, 18 hours since the last normal meal you ate. That could be just a incredibly rapid onset version of the keto flu. That's essentially a dumping of electrolytes, which occurs if you don't have carbs for a given period of time. And for most people, that's not a problem. But if you've been chronically low on electrolytes, which is possible for undereaters, then you could have that sudden need for carbs. Why? Because eating carbs brings your insulin up, which lets you keep water and electrolytes, and therefore your body, because it's not an idiot, will try to make you do that to make you keep your electrolytes because you're running low, and it'll feel like an almost instantaneous recovery from your fatigue. If that's what you feel, like a sudden extreme fatigue and then need for carbohydrates, insatiable need for carbohydrates, and then a sudden feeling of normalcy, that's probably because of a salt, at least from what I've seen. There might be other factors, but from my experience for the last couple of years, that is almost always a sudden, you are low on salt to begin with, you dumped salt because you're low on insulin spiking because of a carnivore or low carb diet, and then suddenly you're undersalted and you need salt immediately, so the body will just override all mental faculties and make you eat carbs. The only way to get around that is to make sure you salt like crazy and potentially drink snake juice. If you don't know what snake juice is, YouTube search snake juice or Google search snake juice, and you'll see Cole Robinson's The Snake Diet Wizard explain to you how to make snake juice. It's salt water. Drinking salt water will help that if that's the reason you are driven towards breaking your diet or eating carbs. Finally, in the fasting scenario, something to consider as to a reason why it's okay to cheat or a reason why you might be driven to cheat is similar to before. If you have like extreme fatigue, extreme lightheadedness, all the kind of stuff, that could be signs that your body's demanding that you cheat, in which case just do it. Just break the fast. Doesn't necessarily have to be with a donut, could just be with steak. But if you feel like if you're just like insatiably driven towards a particular food, maybe it is a case of that you need that food. Like it could just be you need sugar right now, because you're low on sugar. It could be that. So I'm not gonna. This is why you have a coach or whatever. Like these are the reasons to employ a coach, is so they can sit with you and actually troubleshoot these things with you. But yeah, that could just be the thing you need to do. But otherwise, for fasting, what you'd find is that a reason that you might be driven to cheat while fasting is a not necessarily extreme or sudden drop in energy, but a decline in energy to the point where you're just not moving anymore. You're driven to go to sleep early. You can't make yourself work out. You can't concentrate well at work. Like you don't feel terrible. You just don't feel good. You just feel in a constant state of malaise. In that case, many coaches, including myself, would say, hey, that's your body telling you to cheat, i.e. break your fast in that case. And again, I'm only talking about it in the context of fasting. You break your fast earlier than you'd planned to break your fast. That's okay, because myself and most other coaches would rather you moving around, keeping on top of your social commitments, keeping on top of your work commitments, keeping your job, right? And getting you exercising again to maintain your muscle mass, not necessarily to lose weight, because exercise isn't the best thing for losing weight, but for maintaining your muscle mass. I'd rather you doing that than continue the fast, whatever fast you're committed to. So say, for example, you're committed to a 72-hour fast and you have those symptoms of extreme malaise and not necessarily feeling bad, but just feeling so low energy that you just don't want to do anything. If you have that in day 2 and you haven't got to through day 3 yet, just eat. Just break the fast and try again later after potentially doing something different before initiating the fast. Like maybe you have a bigger meal before initiating the fast. That might help you through the 3rd day. So stuff like that is another physiological reason to cheat, and therefore when you're troubleshooting as to why you cheated, that might be a thing you look for as to, oh wait, maybe that's why I cheated. Maybe I cheated because I was in such a low state of energy that I needed that food, so I need to replan how I feed before a fast. So there you go. Those are pretty much the only things I can think of in terms of reasons to cheat that aren't either planning related or mental issue related. Otherwise, you're really looking at the reason that you cheated is you. And that's I hate to break it to you. I don't like being mean, but I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that if it's not a psychological issue, if it's not a actual physiological issue, so by psychological I mean like a actual diagnosed food addiction or eating disorder, and it's not a physiological condition, i.e. like extreme fatigue, lightheadedness, low blood pressure, that kind of thing, if it's not one of those two, then it's you. It is your unwillingness to build the muscle that is commitment, self-determination, and just willpower. Willpower is a muscle you have to build. Falling off the wagon is cool a couple times, but if you never stay on the wagon longer than 2 days, then you're not doing a diet, you're just wasting time. And if you take a moment and identify that about yourself, that could be helpful. But again, these aren't this is not an unfixable problem. Maybe I didn't mention that before. Things like this is not unfixable. All you need, if you do identify that you have a legitimate willpower problem, as I said, you can get assertiveness training and a couple other things. You can get a therapist that will help you build things like willpower a little bit at a time. That's not necessarily a thing for a diet coach to help you with, or a diet itself to help you with. But beyond that, you might just need tools. Maybe you didn't think of ordering a burger without the bun. Maybe you didn't think of getting spaghetti bolognese and only eating the bolognese, or getting a salad at a restaurant that you're going to with family, right? So maybe you go to a full carby restaurant, like an Italian restaurant or whatever. Why don't you just get a salad? Like, minimization of harm, minimization of impact on yourself is also an option if there's no other options on the table. Prosciutto in Italian restaurants is another thing. I don't know why I keep harping on Italian restaurants. This is applicable to everything. Like, you go to a Mexican restaurant, just order a burrito with usually they have a burrito and a plate option, and then just only eat the meats. Like, there's things you can do that might require you to spend more money. Like, maybe that's only one burrito in that context would make you hungry, so maybe you have to order two. But in the end, it's up to you. The buck stops with you as to whether you're committed to the lifestyle change you want to commit to. If you're not, that's fine. You're not committed, and you will not achieve your goal. And if not achieving your goal is okay with you, then so be it. But if you want to achieve your goal, if you're driven to achieve your goal, or if your goal is something like saving your own damn life, then I would suggest that you watch this video again, think about what you did to contribute to your situation, and whether you need help, whether it is a food addiction problem, whether it is a assertiveness issue, or whether it's just a habit you need to break with time, and you just need a coach to sit there and go, hey, keep getting back on the wagon, get on the wagon, build that muscle of self-determination and willpower, build the willpower muscle. Did you go 3 days this time? Good. Next time, go for 4 days. I'm not letting you tread water, that kind of thing. And that's what a coach can do. But deeper psychological issues, a coach can't help you with. And it's up to you to troubleshoot and figure out what it was that led to where you are. So that is my long extended video about cheating. Long story short, the next time you put food in your face, make sure it's whatever you committed to. And if it isn't, troubleshoot. So with that, thank you for listening to this episode of Lean Yak. It is a 30-minute video. This is what happens when I don't edit and re-record and that kind of stuff. But hey, there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.